are rolling in for Caffeine and Octane, the largest monthly car show in America. Fill up on some coffee, top off the octane, and head on down.
Carson top, lead sled. Back in the 40s and 50s, this was the style.
It's a one of one, only one they ever produced.
How much money did it cost back then?
$200,000 in 1987.
You're kidding me.
So these were kind of like race cars from the factory.
Thank you. All right, Phyllis. This is how we're going to start the day today.
What are you so amped up about?
Cappuccino shot.
As it is.
How about that?
Man.
I have been working my tail off on this 2029 electric motorcycle, almost all 3D printed chassis. Now that we can print metal, it is on. I mean, this is a game changer. You can take ideas and you put it directly into a part.
I saw John Hope Bryan and the dude in blue, Dave Patterson, out there. They're checking out cars, man. They're gonna have a leg up on us.
What made the Skyline GTR so great is they nicknamed it Godzilla because it was unstoppable. Nobody could beat this car.
The coolest thing, man, we get to pick for the first time the Capital One car of the show.
Oh, nice. What's the criteria?
Whatever we
Whatever
like.
we want?
That's right.
Hey, I like that.
So,
Perfect.
all right, let's
I'll
go.
Cheers.
pick it.
Woo. It's gonna be a great day of cars.
Oh, yeah. Oh boy, look at this. This is an icon. 63 Corvette, split window, magnificent car, and a Fuelie. Skip Smith.
Cy Strickler, Skip.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
This is amazing. Tell me a little bit about this car. This looks great.
Well, I bought it new
You bought it new.
in '63. I was in the Navy. Drove it for about 25 years as my personal car. Finally, it got a little too hot because there's no air conditioning. So I put it aside for a while, but had to get it fixed back up so I could show it off a little bit.
Boy, you bought the right one. You bought a 63 split window, which is an icon right there, but you bought a Fuelie. This is like 360 horsepower, right?
360.
And the color, Daytona blue, is one of my absolute favorites.
Right. And I got the leather interior, which was very unusual.
Very unusual because they only offered leather on that color. That's unbelievable. Doing this rear window only 1 year really made this car. And the back end of this car, I think this is one of the best looking designs that they ever did.
Of course, I agree with you.
I bet you do. So you haven't modified anything on this?
I've done some things. For instance, the air cleaner is not supposed to be chrome.
That's correct.
But I just thought it looked a
Well,
little
it looks
better.
good.
Yeah.
And you've taken such wonderful care of it. I can't believe you bought this new and held on to it.
Yeah.
Fine.
Man, this is
Come enjoy.
This is nice. I'm super excited about this. I had a 240 when I was 17.
Oh, man.
So these were kind of like race cars from the factory. Very
Pretty much.
aerodynamic.
Very aerodynamic.
Right? Small, lightweight.
Fast, reliable, so much fun to drive. It's easy to work on.
You could almost eat off
Oh, yeah.
how clean this thing is. This is
In the 42 years since I've owned it.
You've had it 42 years?
Yes, sir.
Man, the machine work on this thing got headers. So looks like you've modified the motor.
There's been a lot of engine modifications.
Okay.
Boring out the block. It's actually an F54 280ZX turbo block. It's been bored out. It's basically a racing engine.
So you can interchange the newer motors with
You
the
can.
old.
Transmission, motors, differential. That's the beauty of the 240, 260, 280. This one has 204.29 horsepower to the rear wheels, about 238 at the crank, 2,300 pounds, so it'll scoot. It scoots.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Look at how fast it revs. Woohoo! Love it. The memories this car brings back sitting in it. You don't understand. Like, I was in love with my 240.
I've had this car longer than I've had my wife. And I know Rhonda, when the kids came along, she said, well, shouldn't we sell the Z? And I thought, nah, I don't think so.
Hey, 3D metal printing is here. Check that out. I don't think anybody's made a handlebar to look like that.
Caffeine and Octane is brought to you in part by Capital One Auto Navigator. Find and finance a car you love.
Whoa, 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 you made it, you made it. Come on, right, nope. There you go, come on in. Hey guys, welcome to the new Fuller Moto. All right, this is where it all happens here in the metal shop. We got Super B back to work. The most important thing that you are here for today is the 2029 Majestic. It's basically a 100-year version of the 1929 Majestic, which is a really beautiful French creation. It had hub-centric steering. It has no traditional forks. It's kind of like the wheel gets to float. It has a hub that it spins on almost like a car does.
The 2029 is really a concept bike as much as it is functional in a lot of ways. We built it to showcase different construction techniques and building methods.
Hey, 3D metal printing is here. It's time.
The thing we really want to try to do with the design of these 3D printed parts was to create shapes and forms which were difficult to build any other way. Highlighted the advantages of the 3D printer.
Nick took our pencil sketches, turned them into these actual 3D models that were made into the parts. There's a laser that basically like TIG welding a really fine layer at a time, microns at a time. The laser, it's actually refracted around by a mirror. So the mirror is turning and pointing the laser where it wants. It swipes another thin layer of powder, and that can be aluminum, magnesium, stainless steel, moves the bed down, swipe, and laser again for like 2 days. I get jacked up about the 3D printing, right? Because you can take ideas and you put it directly into a part, and the part comes out of the machine, how you dreamt it. Now that we can print metal, it is on. I mean, this is a game changer. But then at the same time, we're a metal company. We weld things. We shape things. We hammer things. We're metal-centric.
So we wanted to incorporate that into the bike as well. The Majestic gave us a really good opportunity for that because it had that full body covering. Having that incorporated with the 3D printing and the water jet cutting and all those other technologies made it our signature on it a little bit.
Check that out.
Nice.
Handmade Fuller Moto. So this started as a zero electric motorcycle. And we were able to cut the frame, flip it upside down, and that way we could get the batteries nice and low and put our motor and swing arm in the right angle because we had such a taller wheel and our stance was so much lower. It really worked out slick. The electric setup is not necessarily beautiful. You know, the motor is beautiful, but controllers aren't pretty and wiring's not pretty. We're covering that up. the original Majestic covered all that up too. It's fun to take some cues and some design language that somebody would have done in the 20s, try to move it into the future, even though that brand doesn't even exist anymore. Look at that. There's the foot peg from the mind of Nick Pugh. Never seen a foot peg like that. Bang. But man, I tell you what, the printing, it just shows up and it's pretty much right. You know, like, wow. In 100 years of motorcycles, I don't think anybody's made a handlebar to look like that.
The 2029, I would say, is hopefully the future of custom motorcycles. This one pushes a lot of little boundaries in a lot of different ways. I think once you walk around it and you really take in everything that's going on, it's gonna put a lot of smiles on faces.
With the handmade bodywork and the hub-centric steering and the printing and the design that Nick Pugh did on all the bars, you get something that you feel like is really groundbreaking. This is the first custom motorcycle that's been extensively using 3D printing of metal. I think people will talk about this bike for a long time. That's crazy. That is so creepy looking from the front to not have a fork. It's actually not uncomfortable, too.
These were actually illegal here forever because they were only made in Japan.
They put a late model Hemi in this.
It's 22 miles per gallon.
Is that right?
It's ecologically friendly.
I know that Aston Martin. That belongs to a good friend of mine, John Hope Bryant, a big-time philanthropist doing even bigger things, introducing underserved youth to motorsports. Got him hooked up with another friend of mine, video blogger David Patterson, who's going to show John a little bit of his world.
John Hope Bryant.
Hey, my man.
How you been, dude?
Good to see you, bro.
It's been so long.
You still driving?
Good to see you.
You still driving people's cars without their permission?
We're good. I'm slowing down. Absolutely. Every day of my life. So, 1, why are you late? 2, what do you have for us today?
I was late because people were trying to get dates with this all the way here.
James Bonding all the way down the road?
Just pulling up, trying to get a date with the car.
Okay, well, I noticed you have the GT350R again.
This one is actually a little bit more unique than the car you drove. This one is a pre-production prototype. So this car was a tester for all of the Ford Shelbys. This was the one that they had on track, and they basically did a ground-up design for. And technically, it should have been destroyed if it hadn't been donated to a nonprofit.
Because most test cars are crushed right after they're done,
Exactly.
which is really hard to think about.
It's really hard to take.
I'm glad that this one was saved because you got the carbon fiber wheels, you have the big Brembo brakes, you have a flat plane crank, you have all this really cool technology out of America.
Out of America. And what we're telling kids is that this is a computer on wheels.
Oh yeah, 100%. It looks amazing, but aside from that, let's go look at the other side of the show and let me show you around. It'd be really awesome.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Good.
So this side of the show at Cafe and Octane, the great thing about it is that you see the overwhelming variety of car culture here in Atlanta.
It's like eye candy, man.
So what I wanted to show you is this. This is a black Skyline.
Now that looks, to the naked eye, pretty underwhelming. It wouldn't really catch your attention as you're walking down the street,
but when you
right?
see, the front is very classy and subtle, but the back is way more aggressive. What made the Skyline GTR so great is they nicknamed it Godzilla because it was unstoppable. Nobody could beat this car. It's all-wheel drive racing. All-wheel drive. It had an inline 6 with a twin turbo. It had technology unlike anybody else at the time.
Once again, technology, technology, technology. They've taken a lot of the years and years and years of Japanese technology and crushed it into a car like this that could then compete.
Well, these cars were actually illegal here forever.
Oh,
Because they were
really?
only made in Japan, and they were sent to the Caribbean, they're sent to the UK. It was sent in its right-hand drive, if you can't tell. Yeah, so the sales for them in the States have gone through the roof. You see them everywhere now.
Yeah, this is like the Aston Martin of Japan. I just had a unique American experience. Like, You step 50 yards back behind me where I was in the car club, and it's like being in the United Nations. Every race, every culture, every age group. That's what it's all about. And those young people should be celebrated. And all those cars over there are owned by the people who are building them themselves. That's literally the embodiment of what I'm talking about with BG Motorsports Academy, where we use motorsports as a way to inspire young people.
This is cool. They put a late model Hemi in this. It's such a striking car. What year is this?
1966, the first year of the Dodge Charger, and the best year, just so you know.
The lines on it are just amazing. It starts here and it just goes forever.
Absolutely.
Tell me what you've done here in the engine compartment.
Motor is actually from, I think it was a 2006 SRT Grand Cherokee. It was on a pallet. Somebody wrecked that and made a nice donor motor for me.
Right.
Took it out, new mounts. It's actually got a Torque Flight 727 trans.
Super.
With a gear bender's overdrive, 5 power tours.
So you got all the dependability in the world, and
it's 22 miles per gallon.
Is that right?
It's ecologically friendly.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Everything underneath is brand new because I wanted to be able to drive it a lot, but I wanted it to look like the original kind of car.
The interior on these is just super. You have basically 4 bucket seats.
Yep. And they fold down this way. The armrest flips forward. That back panel goes down. It's almost 8 feet from the taillights to the seats. So if you're building a deck,
an enclosed pickup truck.
Well, if you're building a deck or doing a home improvement project, it's a gentleman's sort of touring and useful car. I've had a lot of uncomfortable cars over the years.
Haven't we all?
This is a comfortable car.
I love it.
It's a 47 Ford full custom. It's pretty radical. It's not something you see every day.
Whoa. You need to tell me everything you know about this car because it is a story. Caffeine and Octane is brought to you in part by Capital One Auto Navigator. Find and finance a car you love.
Wow, man, that is hot. Woo.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Wow, what did you bring us today?
It's a 47 Ford full custom.
Yeah, I would say so.
There's not a spot on this car that has not been modified. It's got a Carson top and T-tops, which is an odd combination. It's got Frenched headlights, all the seams have been welded up on it, rear fenders have been extended, fender skirts are all handmade. It's pretty radical. It's not something you see every day.
So this is old school for those of you who don't know your custom history. Back in the 40s and 50s, this was the style. Carson top, lead sled. And you know the reason they call it a lead sled?
Yeah, because they use lead to do all the body work.
That's right.
The body modifications are all welded, and then instead of using body filler like we use today, they use lead instead, which was fairly strong, but now we know that lead's not good for you, so I guess that's why they stopped. I have no idea whether this is lead or not. I'm not exactly going to scratch the paint off to find out.
Wow, T-tops?
T-tops.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That's a lot of work. So this is called a Carson top.
Carson top, this is removable.
Yep.
So this all dismantles down to a convertible.
The old Appleton spots, if you look here, this was a classic touch. The old police spots.
Well, that was so you could spot the number on the house. Back when we didn't have mailboxes, they had to use the spotlight.
And the lights weren't very good. Here, pop the hood. Let's see what's underneath.
Okay.
The small block Chevy.
Small block Chevy, 350, turbo 350 transmission. Car has air conditioning, power steering, power brakes. All the amenities you want in a modern car, just put into an old car. This thing rides so smooth. I guess that's why I call them lead sleds. They just float. They're just nice, smooth riding cars.
This is really a neat car. Skip Smith.
Jonathan Hodgman.
Nice to meet you, Jonathan.
Pleasure, pleasure.
This is rather an iconic car. You need to tell me everything you know about this car because it is a story.
It's a 1987 AMG Hammer wagon. I say it's a one of one, only one they ever produced. It was made for a very prolific and very active customer of theirs. And I guess the story is that his wife wanted something for her, and he went to Richard Buxbaum, who owned AMG, and said, I would like you to build me a Hammer wagon. And he said, we don't make Hammer wagons. He said, but I'd really like you to make me one. And they said, okay.
Now, this is before Mercedes had an interest in AMG, isn't
Yes,
that
sir.
right?
Yeah, AMG was still its own separate entity. Everything was very a la carte. You walked in, and if you had enough money, they would kind of do whatever.
How much money did it cost back then?
$200,000 in 1987.
You're kidding me.
No, sir.
$200,000 to build this car. Whoa.
It's everything you'd want in a sleeper wagon. They took it from 238 horsepower to right about 385, 400.
Oh, that's something.
Back in the day, 385, 290 horsepower in 1987. Made you faster than the Porsches and Ferraris and all of it. So you get an experience in this car that's very different from anything else that Mercedes ever made.
Capital One's very excited to be a part of Caffeine and Octane. Clearly, as one of the largest shows across the country, it's a great place to talk about our Capital One Auto Navigator product and service. It's an easy place to look and get pre-approved for your financing to find the car of your dreams.
The car of your dreams is exactly what the Capital One Car of the Show is all about. Skip, Brian, and yours truly had a really tough choice to make, especially with all the great cars at this event.
It was a gorgeous day today, and for a first time, we are actually going to hand out a Best of Show trophy brought to you by Capital One Auto Navigator.
You know I love my vets, but this one is a true icon. A 63 split window. But what we all loved about this car was that the owner bought it over 55 years ago.
Cy, congratulations. Thank you. Yeah, you got the first one. There you go.
63 split window, car to show. We'll see you next week.
And I actually picked it.
We all picked it.
We picked it together.
Hey, that was an easy pick.
We co-picked it. That's right.